There are over 130 prisoners on death row in North Carolina. This is part 6 of the series. John Williams, 26 years on death row. He is believed to be a serial murderer who killed at least 4 people in Raleigh, North Carolina's downtown. Patricia H. was killed in January of 1996, and Williams was charged with her murder in March 1997. He was also accused of killing Deborah Elliott in December of the same year while he was incarcerated. Authorities suspect that Williams was also responsible for the deaths of Dawn Grandy and Cynthia Brown, 2 other women whose remains were found on or close to downtown train lines. In addition, he was accused of essaying 4 more women. Timmy Grooms, 26 years on death row. On April 11, 1994, Grooms was charged with first-degree kidnapping, first-degree murder, and robbery with a deadly weapon in connection with the abduction and subsequent death of Christa Goodwin. Grooms lived next door to her in Laurel Hill, North Carolina. Goodwin was preparing a special Valentine's Day dinner for her fiancé, Michael McDaniel, on February 14, 1994. The doctor who conducted her autopsy discovered that the same weapon, possibly a pocket knife, was used to cause all 12 of the stab wounds on her body. She suffered many potentially lethal stab wounds that punctured her chest cavity, but one of the wounds would have killed Goodwin in a matter of minutes because it punctured her aorta. The pathologist discovered many linear scrapes and scratches on her back and legs, which were in line with the body being dragged. She had sustained blunt force injuries while still alive, as seen by the numerous bruises and scrapes on her face surrounding her nose and eyes. The presence of internal bleeding and hemorrhaging in the neck tissues suggested that she had been choked before being stabbed. Goodwin's left hand had been partially removed, followed by the bone being forcefully fractured or snapped. Her right hand had been severed at the forearm. Robert Brewington, 26 years on death row. He was charged on June 30, 1997, with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, 1 count of first-degree burglary conspiracy, 1 crime of first-degree arson conspiracy, and 1 offense of first-degree arson. The allegations were related to the June 12, 1997 killings of his 8-year-old nephew Brian Brewington and Frances Brewington, his 82-year-old great-grandmother. They were discovered dead from burns at Mrs. Brewington's farmhouse close to Dunn. Vera Lee, one of the co-defendants listed in the case, and her friend Michael McKeaton intentionally started a fire, which resulted in the deaths of the 2. After being found guilty of murder and arson, both received life sentences without the possibility of parole. Brewington was convicted on 2 counts of conspiracy and 2 counts of murder. They all planned the deaths in order to receive insurance payments. Paul Brown, 24 years on death row. He killed Latashonette Cox, his ex-girlfriend, by shooting her. A baby named David Dishon Franklin was also hit by gunshots and died. Sean Carter, 23 years on death row. He is incarcerated since a gunfight in 1997 erupted over drug money, killing both his opponent and an 8-year-old bystander. Fernando Garcia, 23 years on death row. Julian Bolt, 32 years old, was discovered dead in the clubhouse of the Cameron Lake Apartments, close to Crabtree Valley Mall, shortly before 10 o'clock at night. Following his arrest, Raleigh resident Fernando Luis Garcia, also 32, was accused with murder, first-degree essay, and attempted robbery. The clubhouse had a gym where Bolt was working out. She allegedly suffered essay and was fatally struck by a hammer. A man was observed fleeing the area by a Raleigh police officer who resided in the building and wasn't on duty. That helped detectives identify their suspect. Garcia resided in the same building. Jim Haselden, 23 years on death row. Because of the 1999 murder of Kim Dalton Sisk, his neighbor, he is incarcerated on death row. Sisk, 32 years old, was shot twice in the face by Haselden in her car. Prosecutors claimed that although the first fire severely damaged her jaw, she survived. After 10 minutes, Haselden pulled the trigger again and took her life. Her body was discovered by 2 hunters in remote Stokes County woods close to the Rockingham County border 1 day later. Sisk told her relatives a few days before that Heselden wanted to pay her $100 for driving him to Virginia. She intended to purchase Christmas presents for her 6-year-old daughter Heather with that money. James Hollis Watts, 23 years on death row. Watts was given the death penalty by a jury for the 1999 murder of a Linwood woman. Joyce Owens was 53 years old. On November 22, 1999, Owens's body was discovered in her Linwood, just south of Lexington, home on Belmont Road. The autopsy report stated that she had been shot multiple times and that her throat had been cut. At the time of her death, the house had been broken into and 6 guns and 2 crossbows seized. About a month after Owens's passing, Watts and another suspect, Alton Klein McIntyre, were taken into custody. McIntyre was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Brian Christopher Bell, 23 years on death row. August 2001 saw the conviction of Brian Christopher Bell and Antoine Kyrell Sims as a co-defendant on several counts, including first-degree murder. Following a capital sentencing hearing, the jury recommended that Bell be executed and Sims be given life in prison without the possibility of parole for the murder of Elise Kennedy, a resident of Newton Grove, who was abducted and beaten on January 3, 2000. While Kennedy was still alive, the 89-year-old was put in the trunk of her 1998 Cadillac, drove about, and the vehicle was set on fire at the end of a dirt road down a forested path. Kennedy was found dead in her charred Cadillac the next day. During the capital murder trial in 2001, Chad Lamont Williams, a third suspect, testified against Sims and Bell and implicated himself in the crime. Bell and Sims refrained from taking a stance. Williams received a life sentence in prison in an additional proceeding that took place in October 2001. Bell was just 19 years old when the murder occurred. Williams and Sims were 18 years old. Wesley Toby Smith, 22 years on death row. On September 12, 2001, Margaret Martin was stabbed more than 60 times in the chest, head, and back by Smith. In May 2002, Smith was found guilty and given the death penalty. John Henry Thompson, 22 years on death row. Thompson entered the Chapman Street Domino's Pizza and took out a sawed-off shotgun from under his jacket. He shot Kenneth Brommuller in the head. Thompson tried to unlock the store safe after stealing his wallet. At Thompson's house the following morning, police arrested him. The authorities discovered the victim's driver's license and social security card in his wallet, a shotgun in the trunk of his car, and a spent round casing in his pocket. Please hit that subscribe button if you like my channel. See you next time. Bye bye.